Sharpologist.com.
Hi, Mantic59 here, and I'm here with Todd Barrett, the CEO of OneBlade. The new Core razor has just been launched, and the response has been pretty incredible, at least from the Sharpologist audience. So I wanted to sit down with them and have a short conversation about the company, the razor, where they're going, and what's going on. Thanks for sitting down with me, Todd. I appreciate it.
Mark, I'm really glad to be here. I appreciate your effort just to take the time today and chat through what we're doing with OneBlade in general, and certainly with this launch for the Core razor.
Right. I know from a previous conversation that the response from Sharpologists and the enthusiast crowd, as you call them, it was dramatically higher than what you thought of would happen. Where are you now with the launch, and what kind of changes are you thinking of, if any, for a company focus or a focus of Core, or just the launch in general?
Yeah, great question, Mark. We're just super grateful for the response that we've gotten from the community overall. Well beyond anything we had expected. We're on track to sell out of our first 2,500 razors here in the next, probably within a week for sure. And so we're excited about that. That's not something we could count on, and we don't take that for granted by any means. Going forward, for us, it's really an additive effect. If I just summed up, what does the Core razor do for us? We've been selling our Genesis razor, our stainless razor, and we're now calling the Genesis razor, for it'll be 2 years this coming July 3rd. So we're just super excited about how that's gone. And what we are hoping is that the Core razor will just be a very genuine complement to that, to our Genesis razor, in terms of how people respond to it, ongoing sales. But the Core razor for us is about, it's about us doing a better job of introducing our technology to the broader marketplace.
Okay. So has the focus of OneBlade as a company shifted any?
I mean, we know that without doing a great job of serving the enthusiast market, which is something we know we can always be improving on, and we're working hard on that, it goes hand in hand, because what we're up to is we know, and the enthusiast crowd already knows this, that being able to have great tools to shave with, great products, accessories to shave with, and understanding how to shave, right, which is something you've done so well over the years. Being able to bring that all together and introduce that guy who's 10, 20, maybe only 5 years into using a cartridge razor, and for their purposes really doesn't know about anything else in terms of options. That's the guy that we're passionate about reaching. There's no, we're not going to try to mince words on that. That's the customer we want to be able to help.
Okay, so that was the main inspiration, obviously, for Core. Any other inspirations for developing this different but similar kind of razor?
Well, Mark, we're going to continue our development efforts both on the blade side of things and on the razor side of things. That's for me personally, that's my passion. Thankfully, our board has continued to support that dramatically in terms of what that costs, which is it's extraordinarily expensive to be truly engaged in research and development, especially on an ongoing basis. These two razors we're certainly hoping are going to give us the scale of business that will make that easier for us to do financially. But that's our commitment. We're going to keep working hard to make a better blade, to have blade choices, and to continue to improve our razor. I hope we've shown that as those that of our audience that have been with us as a customer since the early days. Our commitment is to keep making the razor better and better. You know, and now we've got 2 razors where we'll need to focus our attention. The core razor, while it's very similar in so many ways to our Genesis razor, it's a different razor. It behaves a little bit differently, and there's opportunity because of the manufacturing process that we use to make that razor. The materials that we're working in are opportunities to continue to tune that razor, to see opportunities to enhance it. Those are ongoing. I never look at a product as being completely done. I think that's dangerous. I think that you want to recognize when you've got something working really well. So there's an element of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we want to be careful, but certainly our goal is to keep doing a better job as a company at enhancing guys' experience shaving.
Okay. You mentioned just a minute ago that there were some differences between Core and Genesis razors. For the people watching that may be somewhat familiar but not really familiar with the razors, can you give me an idea of what the differences are beyond the obvious?
Yeah, so looking at the 2 razors, that's a great question. It's sort of, and it's a hard question for us because we're proud of the performance and features of both razors. And
they certainly look and generally behave very similar, obviously.
The Genesis razor is about 30% heavier.
Right.
That makes a difference, right? It just has a different hand feel. There is just always going to be a difference in just the feel, if you will, of a stainless steel razor versus a razor that's made out of any kind of polymer. There are some differences inside the head when you move from a material that has all the different characteristics of a steel to a polymer. There's things you can do in steel that you can't do in polymer. So we've had to change some dimensions and beef up some things inside the head, and those they're going to impact your experience. It's going to be a little bit different experience shaving with that. Still a great experience, but there's a reason that a Genesis razor costs $400 and we are selling our Core razor introductory wise at $50.
Right.
So
but my understanding, at least from things that you have said and things I've read from the website and things that like that, indicate the core, pardon the pun, maybe the basic specifications of blade angle and blade exposure and things like that are the same, correct?
They are the same. And again, I guess I'm splitting hairs, and so I don't want to distract anyone. Yes, we called it, and for very definitive reasons, the Core razor, because it does have those same specifications. It has those same attributes and same technology that we use in our Genesis razor. So in that sense, yes.
Okay.
It's just hard to. I don't want our audience to try to say, okay, well, it's exactly the same razor. It is essentially the same razor.
I know because of the, for example, my personal experience with what I've handled so far, obviously, as you said, it's a lighter razor. The balance is shifted a little bit, I think, compared with Genesis.
Yes.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is there are some subtleties, some subtle differences, but the overall experience is very similar.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
That's absolutely fair to say. Yeah.
And you mentioned just a minute ago, you talked about the blade, the changes in blade or kind of moving on with blades. In our first conversation 2 years ago now, when you first introduced me to what is now the Genesis razor, you mentioned that you had initially were working on developing your own blade, and then started working with Feather and discovered one of their blades actually was what you were looking for,
Sure.
and already there. How is that evolving for you now? Are you considering a different blade for later razors, or a change in the style of blade that will still fit in the current razors? Or
we're, as a company, I mentioned just a bit ago, our commitment to R&D. So for us, it's all about, again, how do we make it better and better? The blade is so critical to any razor, right? And there's so many aspects to a blade that I think are easily overlooked. It looks fairly simple, right? It's a piece of steel, it's got an edge on it. It's made of, either high carbon or stainless steel typically. So, I think it's easy to kind of oversimplify it. And certainly I know the manufacturers of blades would stop you quickly and say, no, there's a lot more. And there is. So we're consistently looking at, and this, like you mentioned from our earliest of conversations, we spent a lot of time and a lot of money at the very beginning of the start of our business and our research phase, looking at a full range of materials, right? We were looking at the ceramics, we were looking at the tungsten carbides, we were looking at all the different coatings that are out there. I was constantly bumping into Gillette in the world of IP as to the things that are out there and that are being developed to make blade edges better, better smoother, better sharper, better in terms of long lasting. There's a lot of technology when it comes to the edge of a piece of steel and what that's like and how it lasts and how it feels on your face. So we're committed to continuing to see what can be better, what can be done that will give our customer a better experience. And choices, right? Some people are willing. We've had a lot of, admittedly, we've had negative feedback over the first few years here of the cost of our blades. We've substantially, dramatically brought the price down to the best of our ability, and we're not letting up on that. We're trying constantly to see what can we do to improve on that. But we also want to give men choices as to what blade they want to use. I say that carefully and cautiously because our philosophy is much different than most of our competitors anyway, and that we feel like it is smart to match a blade to a razor. When you do that, you can be that much more committed to what are you delivering to your customer. And so that has been our approach, and I'm not suggesting we'll go away from that, but as we look at new razors, we're going to keep looking at new blades, and without getting into some of the things that right now are confidential for us, that's our attitude, that's our approach.
Okay.
So when it came to the feather blade, we were fully committed at that moment in time to our own proprietary blade. That's what we were up to. That's where we thought we were going to end up. It just so happened that we discovered the FHS blade. It was essentially sitting, and it had the attributes we were looking for, and frankly it was towards the end of our development process. We needed to get to market, and so that was a godsend, that blade, and being able to connect with Jatai and Feather, Jatai the distributor for North America for Feather. That was huge for us, and we couldn't be more proud of that blade and how well that blade performs.
And you have acknowledged from at least the enthusiast crowd that even gem blades are in the realm of usability for OneBlades, even though you're not personally too impressed with them.
We've seen conversations out there in the blogosphere about the forums, people doing some despining and using that blade.
Right.
We can't we didn't take that into consideration in our development engineering of the razor, of either of our Genesis razor or the new core razor. We certainly can't stop people from doing whatever they want to do. The razors weren't designed for that. I personally, I don't think it doesn't perform well. I have finally recently, tested that approach using that blade. I'm surprised that people are interested in that, but yeah, there's just that's why there's a lot of razors and a lot of blades, right? Because there's a lot of different guys out there with different beard types, etc. And people have their preferences. So I'm excited that people are. I love to see ingenuity, so that's great in that context. But we're trying, committed to working on more choices in blades.
Great. Okay. And speaking of materials and things like that, obviously, core is mostly plastic. It's a well-engineered, very specific plastic. And were there any other thoughts of other materials, like, for example, aluminum for a razor? And I also understand that the core razor is made in the United States now. Was that a conscious decision on OneBlade's part, or a happy coincidence?
Yeah, so in terms of made in the USA, that was a definitive decision of ours at the outset. We wanted to be able to have some diversity in terms of our manufacturing base. It was a razor, when we went into an injection molded plastic format, we knew that there was an opportunity from a cost basis to be competitive here. We could certainly make the razor more inexpensively in China, but this was a great opportunity. We were excited I was personally excited to be able to bring some business back here to the States. And man, we're working with an outfit in California called Distinctive Plastics, and I couldn't be happier with the job they're doing. Really, I was a little concerned. Were we going to get the kind of cooperation, the kind of commitment, really the kind of partnership that I like to have in a manufacturing setup? And we've gotten all of that and more. So I'm super excited. We've got plenty of work to do to get our processes that much more efficient, but we're using some really cool automation and part of our manufacturing process, and excited to continue to develop that.
Great. But I assume then what is now called the Genesis razor will continue to be made in the fashion that it's being made currently.
Yeah, without apology, Mark, we make that razor in China. That is a lot of people use the word handmade. It gets kind of a broad and sort of abused sort of use in my experience with manufactured products. It's really it's a handmade product. I mean, we go to so much trouble to make each one of the parts, to fit the parts together, to hand finish each one of the parts. That razor is, right now, from any of my exposure to MIM facilities here in the U.S. and just the labor rate, there's just no way we could make that razor here. I wish that wasn't the case, but that's as it stands now. Unless we were to somehow change the design of that razor pretty substantially, I don't think we could make it here.
All right, and you kind of touched on it early on, but I'm wondering if you might be able to discuss a little more kind of who the core razor is made for and who is the Genesis razor made for.
We want the core razor to be that gateway product for the cartridge guy who's either he's frustrated with cost, or he's just saying, hey, maybe shaving could really be a positive experience instead of a negative chore type experience, or is just looking for a better outcome in terms of skin health. I mean, there's so many guys out there that just continue to suffer really without understanding that there's a better way, that there's even a solution, a complete solution to the typical razor burn and ingrown hairs, etc. And so we're out to help that guy. Man, I can't tell you how many messages I've already gotten from our current customers saying, hey, I'm so excited to have a core razor as my travel razor. So it's that.
Yep.
It's a razor that I think is an opportunity for the enthusiast who says, hey, I'm not sure if I want to invest in the Genesis razor. Well, it's it's a great opportunity for that person to be able to really experience our razor technology.
Okay. Well, thank you for sitting down and talking with me. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the launch.
Absolutely.
And if anyone has questions regarding what we've talked about, let me know on Sharpologist, and I'll be happy to try and get an answer for you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mark, otherwise known as Mantic59, and my channel is all about what your father didn't teach you about shaving.